Chapter 22. It was as if the galaxy had conspired to make sense of my disjointed, fractured, bizarre life. I had been a wastrel Ketran gamer. I had been a survivor of mass destruction. I had been a Z spaceship captain. I had been a helpless captive, forced to be a new type of gamer. I had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before, a melding of many technologies, the minds of many civilizations, all flowing in and through a matrix of music. And now that strange resume seemed to match perfectly with a job that needed doing. I would be a peacemaker. And more, I would foster the growth and advancement of species. I would teach them the ways of peace. The massacre of my own people by the Capassins would not be repeated on any other world. Not so long as El was present. I flew Z-space, emerged here and there, searching the galaxy, using every bit of my vast trove of knowledge to look, to see, to feel, to learn, to understand. I listened to the music of evolution itself, or so I flattered myself. Life was everywhere. 1,000 planets teeming with life. Most of it very primitive, but why should that stop me? I could step in early, I could intrude, in Minnow's phrase. And yet, I would intrude with exquisite sensitivity and the purest motivations. I would create harmonies. Boldness allied with restraint and a minimalist aesthetic, all in the service of moral certainties, that peace was better than war, that freedom was better than slavery, that knowledge was better than ignorance. Oh, yes, the galaxy would be a wonderful place under my guidance. I flew from star to star, world to world. Here I lifted up a failing race, there I ended a plague, in another place I fed the hungry. A century flew past. And another, and more and more. Time was almost meaningless to me now. My challenges were vast and worthy, they kept my mind engaged. I made friends on many worlds, became an honorary member of 100 families, clans, tribes, species, races. They spoke of me, of the Ellimist as I had become known, with respect, gratitude, awe. And then the day came that I happened by sheer coincidence to find myself within a relatively short distance of the scene of my first triumph. 1,000 years had passed since I had stopped the war of Airworlders and Jalians. Finding myself so near, I returned to savor. To reminisce. I returned to find no signs of life, on the Jalian world. The planet was sterile, its atmosphere almost gone. The inner world still teemed with life, but I caught no sign of microwave or radio or laser emissions. No satellites orbited the planet. The inner worlders were reduced in numbers and existing at a primitive technological level. It took only a short while for me to reconstruct what had happened. It was easy enough once I found a single, still orbiting mine. A primitive device, produced in great numbers by the inner worlders. They had launched huge numbers of them, laid them in the path of the onrushing Jalian world. Many of the mines had been annihilated by my meteor cloud. But many had survived, and then survived re-entry to explode on contact with the surface of the Jalian planet. Even now, 1,000 years later, the radiation could be read. Even now the craters could be seen from space. Morbidly I went about the work of compiling every detail. More than 700 impacts. 700 nuclear explosions. Not such an easy game to win, is it? For a moment I thought the voice was my own. The tone of sarcasm and deprecation mirrored my own self-directed rage. But then my sensors lit up. Something was emerging from Z-space. Something big. I spun, readied my defenses, still confident that nothing, no matter how unexpected, could really challenge me. But the ship that appeared suddenly in normal space was nothing I had ever seen. Nothing that any of my multitude had ever seen. This ship was not a ship, it was a planetoid, large enough to be a small moon. And yet it was Z-space capable. Incredible. Impossible. An illusion, it had to be. I swept the planetoid with my sensors and I could literally feel the entity's acquiescence. It invited me to look. It did not care. It did not fear me. There were life forms on the planetoid, perhaps 20,000, in a wide array of species, most naturally evolved, but some, I suspected, were experimental. Created. But there was only one life form that truly concerned me. My sensors showed lines of power, raw, snapping power connecting this one creature to all the other life forms. I had not felt fear in so long. I almost did not recognize the emotion. Fear. I feared nothing. I was the Ellimist. In 1,000 years I had not encountered anyone to challenge me. The Ellimist, the creature said with a laugh I heard deep in my mind. I have seen your handiwork in many places through this galaxy. I am pleased to meet you at last. I've been looking for you. I could not see him, he hid his face from me. You know my name, I said, trying to conceal any slight sign of fear or agitation. Oh, but you're famous in so many places. The great cosmic do-gooder. You have the advantage of me, I said. I do not know you. Then he showed himself to me. I saw with a shock that he was like me, as much machine as biological. But his biology was entirely different. He was evolved for the surface, or perhaps even for a subterranean life. No wings would ever lift those massive, muscled limbs. And no creature with that single, dominating red eye could ever navigate easily in 3 dimensions. I am called Kryak. Of course, that's just my game name. He laughed a knowing laugh, a ridiculing, belittling sound. You are a gamer? Aren't we all? No longer, I lied. I no longer play a game. I do what I can to make this a better galaxy. Well, you've done a wonderful job of that here, Kryak said. I can see plainly what happened. Your clever debris barrier gave them the idea of using nuclear mines. One planet destroyed the other, and, lacking a foe, lacking a challenge, the destroyer itself fell into barbarism and decay. Yes, quite a nice job. It was true. There was no doubting it. Part of me wondered how it was that Kryak could read the signs so well. But mostly a single phrase went round and round in my head, brilliant loser. I had lost. With all the best of intentions, I had annihilated one species and reduced another. I lost to Anidar, lost to Wormer, lost to Agela. I had lost in a different way to Minnow. By resisting his call for adaptation I had led the last of my people into Father's snare. And I had lost to Father, in the end, by becoming Father myself. What was I, after all, with all Father's victims contained within me? I was but a high-tech version of Father. And now I had fallen victim to arrogance. I'd begun to believe in my own moral superiority. My own invincibility. You've been following me? I asked Kryak. Yes. He waited. He knew what I wanted to ask, but he would make me ask it of him. How many others? Like this? Not many, Kryak said. No, often you've succeeded admirably. Your solution to the Mammoth-esque self-annihilation game was brilliant. Subtle. Effective. You redirected them to a life of productive peace. I had to go in and destroy them myself. I had begun to revive a little as he described my success. Then, his last statement. You did what? I reversed the effects of your meddling, Kryak said. The Mammoth-esque reverted to cannibalism when they experienced repeated crop failures. A plant parasite. Impossible for them to stop. But as you know, cannibalism is a losing adaptation. The Mammoth-esque are effectively extinct. Are you mad? I cried. No, I don't think so, Ellimist. I'm just a gamer. Like you. But with a perhaps different philosophy. I don't play the game to save the species, but to annihilate it. I play the game of genocide. This galaxy has even more potential games within it than the galaxy I left behind. I will cleanse this galaxy of all life, too. Then, when no sentient thing is left alive, I will kill you, Ellimist. That's my game. Shall we play?